Cowboys issues as we put the win over the 49ers behind us and get ready for the Eagles. Let me run through a bunch of stuff. I'm going to do this position by position by position. We're going to start with the Pro Bowl. We wrote a story earlier today that predicted that the Cowboys would get 0 Pro Bowlers. That's exactly what has happened. I think you can make a case for LP, the long snapper, and you can make a case for Amari Cooper. I think he's having a good year. You can defend the circumstances by saying, if it wasn't for the injury, Zach Martin's in. And that much is true. He's in every year, and he'll be in every year of his life, as long as he wants to be. He's that good, and he's been that good. And you could say pretty much the same thing about Tyron Smith, although he's been unavailable, obviously, almost all this year. You could make an argument that in another time and another place, Dak Prescott gets in, maybe. You can make an argument that sometime in the future, Ezekiel Elliott gets in, but not a deserving guy this year. DeMarcus Lawrence has done some good things, but Pro Bowl voters want more than that. Aldon Smith has gotten some sacks. Pro Bowl voters want more than that. Leighton Vander Esch and my man Jalen Smith, they have Pro Bowl credentials, but not playing at that level here. And that's about it. So for the third time in the Cowboys' otherwise illustrious history, no Pro Bowlers. To the injury issue, and there's, besides Zeke, and there's a feeling that, once again, he's going to get better this week and try to go against the Eagles. That's certainly his plan, even though Tony Pollard was outstanding. And maybe that's one of the reasons that Zeke wants to make sure he hits the accelerator here. There's nothing like a little competition from your little buddy in the running backs room. And so Zeke will do his usual work, trying to be ready, and we will monitor that, of course. Michael Gallup, they're not ready to say no there yet. Antoine Woods not ready to say no there yet, and Xavier Woods not ready to say no. All three of those guys have a better chance than Leighton Vander Esch. Leighton Vander Esch is a no this week. High ankle sprain, not broken, but a high ankle sprain, serious enough, virtually no way that he goes this week. You have the challenge, of course, from an Eagles team that isn't quite getting it done, but with Jalen Hurts at quarterback, they seem closer to getting it done than they did before. I still think that was really weird and not necessarily smart, what the Eagles did in drafting Carson Wentz's backup and then creating pressure in the building, pressure on Wentz. Maybe they should have known that he might not handle that well. Maybe one of the reasons that Carson Wentz's head is falling off his neck, in addition to the fact that he leads the NFL in getting sacked, is because he didn't like the fact that I just got here and you just drafted my replacement in the second round, and now they've handed the baton to that replacement, and Jalen Hurts has picked it up. Jalen Hurts has helped the Eagles score. He does some of it in an unorthodox way because he's a very good runner. But I was talking with Brian Broaddus and Jeff Kavanaugh on 105.3 The Fan about their thoughts on Hurts when he came out of Oklahoma, and they said, better thrower than Dak coming out of school, the two of them coming out of school. And then Stephen Jones goes on 105.3 The Fan on Monday and says, Jalen Hurts kind of reminds him of Dak. And that means that Jalen Hurts kind of reminds the scouting department of Dak. And that's quite a compliment, if you ask me. Cowboy fans hope they're wrong. Cowboy fans hope it takes years and years and years and years of struggle for Jalen Hurts to ever make a Pro Bowl. But clearly, the Eagles are electrified in terms of effort, not win, but effort against Arizona. And I bet you they'll come into AT&T Stadium on Sunday, Christmas weekend. We'll be there, and they'll be electrified again. The challenge for the Cowboys, of course, is to try to keep their eye on the ball no matter what happens elsewhere. If Washington wins, and the Washington football team has a noon Sunday game, if I'm recalling this right, against a Carolina team that probably won't have Christian McCaffrey and used to be led by Ron Rivera, who got fired and now leads Washington. And those players are passionate about backing Ron Rivera. It seems like Washington wins that game. And the Cowboys are trying to say they're not going to have their eye on the scoreboard because that's a noon game. Their game, of course, is at 3:30 in the afternoon. So they'll have some knowledge of what's what. And if Washington wins, that ends it for Dallas. There's no way you don't watch the scoreboard. You have to watch the scoreboard. First of all, you're a player warming up on the field, and you can look up and see it. At AT&T Stadium, they'll even put that game, I know they will, they'll put that game on the Jumbotron, and we'll all watch it. All 30,000 of us plus 12 people in the press box, all. So they'll have an awareness. What McCarthy said is, we're not going to let our game plan or even our in-game approach be impacted by what happens in the noon game. In other words, he says, and he's wrong if they really do this, but he says, no matter what happens in that game, we're going to approach the 3:30 game like we're going to win it. And man, I get it. I get the KISS part. Keep it simple, stupid. I get that. Hey, just play hard and let the chips fall where they may. And that's a very, like 1960 way of thinking about it. I'm not that old, but some of you might be. Where, listen, in 1960, if you played football and your coach said, go dig a hole 10 feet deep over there, then all the kids grabbed a shovel and they went and dig a hole. And then after they dig a hole, coach goes over there and says, okay, now fill it in. In 1960, you filled it in because coach told you to. And that's what I fear the Cowboys are doing here a little bit. Just go dig a hole. Why? Because that's just what you do. And then what, coach? Then fill it. Why? Because that's just what you do. Players now do ask why. And obviously the players don't care what the Cowboys draft position is, but the Joneses should. We've talked all year about the difference between having the 3rd overall pick and the 4th overall pick. Well, now, by virtue of the Cowboys' win over the Niners, having the 4th overall pick has fluttered away. And the Cowboys are now number 8 in the tankathon. And if everything goes right, that is to say wrong, and the Cowboys win their last 2 games, rah-rah, 4 straight wins, you're building on something. It may be a mirage. You may be building not on a foundation of cement and stone, but on sand that looks like a lake, a mirage. But 4 wins is 4 wins, and the coaching staff will be happy about it, and the players will be happy about it, and the Joneses will be happy about it, maybe because they'll be deceiving themselves about what it really means, what beating the Bengals really means, what beating the Niners really means, what beating the Eagles really means, and then what beating the Giants really means. That's 4 teams that aren't good. You won't really have established that you're good if you go 4-0 against bad teams. You'll just establish that for that month you were the best of the bad. And I hope, and I bet you do too, that it doesn't trick Jerry into looking in the mirror and saying, that proves it. That proves that we're good. Proves that our coaching staff is great. Proves that we're undefeated in the month. The entire body of work is what Jerry should evaluate, Stephen should evaluate, Will McClay and Mike McCarthy as well, and the hope is that they do that. But if they win, not only might they deceive themselves, but they will also truly move way out of the 4 slot. I'm telling you, if they win twice, move way out of the A spot. I think they could move to 17th. That would make them a 7-9 team, right? To be a 7-9 team and finish 17th for no good reason except feel good, when you could have allowed yourself to stumble in the last 2 games and have the 8th overall pick. You could have allowed yourself to stumble in the last 3 games and had the 4th overall pick. Don't think that we won't call that back to mind when we get to April. And you're looking at going, oh my gosh, did you see that Micah linebacker from Penn State? He's going to go 5th. We could have had him. Oh no, did you see that cornerback from Virginia Tech? Farley. He's going to go 6. We could have, oh no, did you see that Surtain? We could have had him. He's going to go 8th. And you're drafting 17th and telling you, it's not the big a deal. Look, we got CeeDee Lamb at 17. Look how that worked out. And it did. And we got Leighton Vander Esch at 19, right? And look how that it just certainly worked out to start. We'll have to monitor it now as we go forward. But it's a mirage. And I hope the Cowboys don't step in that imaginary lake. We will keep you posted. Thank you so much for subscribing here and for telling your friends about it. We are growing by leaps and bounds. And, it seems like if the Cowboys were, had 10 wins, that we'd be, then we'd clearly be going like this in terms of subscriptions and pals and hanging out in the clubhouse. But they're not exactly going like this. They're kind of going like this. And we're still growing in huge ways. And I'm so flattered and I'm so appreciative of you joining our clubhouse here. Coming up, trade Ezekiel Elliott to the Jets. We'll explain. Stick with us. Fish out.